I am Sam.
And I'm Rev, and we are traveling around America's Great Loop aboard the Here's To Us. If you're new to our channel and you're interested in doing the Great Loop, we are the channel for you. Subscribe below, hit the bell so you can get notified every time we make a new video.
And one of the things we really enjoy in the morning is when we put a new video up, our subscribers ask questions, they have comments, and we really like that, the engagement. So please, if you have questions about it or you have something to share about the trip, go ahead and shout it out to us in the comments section.
Yeah, so we're going to tell you about our trip that we took from Grand Harbor over to Midway in Fulton, Mississippi.
Fulton, Mississippi.
So Grand Harbor...
Real close to where Elvis was born.
Is that right? Grand Harbor was half in Mississippi, half in Tennessee. That marina was all, all over two states.
Yeah.
And so we did end up in Fulton at the end of the day, but we had to get up really early to do so. We had to have a 7 a.m. departure so we could make it to the lock by noon. What was that, Whitten Lock?
Yeah, the Whitten Lock was having dredging going on. So normally they're on demand or every 2 hours, but they had restricted it to an 8 o'clock locking, noon locking, and a 4 o'clock locking. So what made sense for us was to leave at 7 o'clock and make the noon locking.
We had been traveling on the Tennessee River, and then we made the turn, stayed at Grand Harbor, and once we left Grand Harbor, we were now on the Tennessee Tombigbee River.
Right, and that is a pretty historic stretch.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Hello from the bridge of the Here's To Us on America's Great Loop. We are on a very historic waterway here called the Tennessee Tombigbee Waterway. You can see the Here's To Us kind of trudging along there. So let me tell you a little bit about the Tennessee Tombigbee Waterway and why does it have that hyphenated name. Well, it connects the Tennessee River near Pickwick Lake all the way down to Demopolis, Alabama, somewhere around there. It connects the Tombigbee River, so hence the name Tennessee Tombigbee Waterway. It is about 250 miles long, and as we're filming here, I'm going to be making course corrections. We've passed a number of barges on here. It is a national marine highway, and it has 10 locks on it, and we're going to be approaching the very first one of those in about an hour and a half. That is the Whitten Lock, and it goes down 84 feet. And then the rest of them are about 25 to 30 feet that they go down. So as we head on down to Mobile, this is a really kind of a neat section, and I did a little bit of research about it. It actually was conceived by the French had started looking at it in the 1700s as they were out exploring, but serious discussion didn't happen until the 1800s when a proposal was made to connect the two waterways. Well, it was going to take 43 locks and the channel was going to be about 4 feet deep. So in the early 1900s, another study looked at, well, how about 6 feet deep and 65 locks? Well, you see where we're going with this. In 1923 to 1944, 45, there were a number of studies done. And of course, you can kind of take a look at the history of this from an economic, political, and logistical perspective, and it's really worthy of probably at least a master's thesis or a doctoral dissertation as you look at the history of it. But it wasn't until 1946 until the canal was approved, and you say, well, what happened then? Well, just think of it, about World War II had ended in 1945, and there's probably a little bit of money laying around from the end of the war, so that's my thought on it. 1968, President Johnson approved money for an engineering study, so we basically have gone all these years And then in 1971, President Nixon budgeted $1 million, which is not a lot of money in today's, but at least it was ready to get started. And they actually started on the canal in 1972. So as administrations change hands in Congress, you can imagine going over 250 miles, the number of congressional districts that are involved in there, and the political pressures, the economic pressures on one person saying it's going to cost this much, but hey, it's going to save us this much. There's a lot in there. 1977, President Carter actually proposed to stop the funding for it. But it had already started, and like I said, a lot of political pressure on to keep it going. The Waterway actually started operating in 1984, 1985, that time frame around there. The total bill was about $2 billion when it was all done. So you can see it has a long history from first people thinking about this in 1700 to actually getting done in 1984. So what is the impact of it? Well, it actually shortens the route. Let's say you wanted to take freight from Pensacola, Florida to Chattanooga. It shortens the route by 720 miles. So instead of having to go up the Mississippi and fighting the currents up the Mississippi, we're really only going to go 770 miles versus the 1,550 miles that it would take. And what it did was really string along all the various rivers that come into it, about 4,500 miles of navigable waterway, 15 ports, and of course the 10 locks. So a tremendous waterway, a national marine highway of historical significance. And I encourage you to maybe do a little bit more reading and research on it yourself.
Houses were all along the side of the river, just like we've seen in many places. But these houses had like a boathouse, covered boathouse, to protect their
cool.
their boats. Yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah, and as we went along the Tombigbee, you could see, there's a winter pool and there's a summer pool. Summer pool is pretty high. I think it's around 359 feet above mean sea level. Winter pool is about 5 feet lower, and we were just 1 foot above the winter pool. We were right around 355 feet, as I remember. So as we travel along, you could see along the rocks where the pool level was, the summer pool, and it's starting to get down to the winter pool. So we're 1 foot above winter pool. So it's starting to get, on the shallow end, but still navigable by, any means.
That's a cool looking channel, though.
Yeah.
You see the rocks on the side, and
and there's these things called baffles, where the water will come in from the sides, and so it isn't going to wash. You'll see these baffles.
Wash.
So the water won't run down a river, a stream into there, and so that the baffle will slow the speed of the not
I thought
wash
it was
all
to
the
keep
way.
the big logs out and everything like
Yeah.
that. So Sam was using his Garmin auto guidance, right?
Yeah.
And had a very interesting experience with that.
Yeah, so just a caution, when you're using any type of automation on the boat, be sure that you know where it's taking you, just like if you were in a car, okay? You wouldn't want to just start out and just driving what so take a review of it. And then also, just double check as you're going along. Know what mode you're in. If you're going to, track that route that's in there, know that you're in the route tracking mode and be able to default to coming out of it and manual steering, or coming out of it and going to heading hold. So just be aware of that, because that can catch you, particularly with the barges coming down and a lot of logs and debris. You need to be aware of your automation mode.
Right. So we did make it to the Witten Lock by 12. Actually, I think we were there a little early, about 11:30. And was it ready for us? No, it was not.
Not quite, but pretty close.
Yeah, we had to wait for quite a while. There was a huge barge that was in it at the time, so we waited for that to come out. Fortunately, it was beautiful around there. It was beautiful fall colors once again, and
big old 84-foot drop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it was
lock.
huge.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, it was incredible.
So as we got out of the lock, we had to pull over for a barge, I believe, wasn't it? Yeah.
As soon as we had to pull over for a
Dredging.
dredge.
Yeah, the dredging
Yeah.
operation first. Yeah.
That's a whole other story. So we just got out of the Fulton Lock, 84-foot drop, and we were headed to the next lock, which is
The Montgomery Lock.
Montgomery
The
Lock.
drop is about 30 feet.
So we get out here. Okay, and there's a dredging machine in the way, and they're having to move that out. Move it out of the way so we can get through. Look at that.
Yeah, the dredge.
But
the
yeah,
dredge was there, and
The
then
second thing that happened was got a call from a barge. He wanted us to our whole group, to pull over and wait for him.
yeah, so we
Which we
maneuvered over.
did.
Yeah, because the law of
They're
gross
the
tonnage.
boss.
They're the boss. They're bigger.
Yeah.
So we had 2 more locks to go: the Montgomery Lock and the Rankin Lock. Both the drops just about 30 feet, and those went smoothly. I don't think we had any delays with those.
Right.
And then we started getting into some interesting, what looked like a tree forest. And our boats were going into the Midway Marina, which the approach into there is very skinny, okay, from not a lot of water under you. And
That's what you mean by skinny?
Yeah, skinny.
Not
Yeah,
a lot
skinny,
of
yeah,
water
not,
under
not a lot
the
of water
boat?
under you.
Mm.
And also narrow. They had marked it with poles. And they also talked us in on the radio how to come in on there. So we went right in and we did a starboard tie there, got all the boats in, and so, they were great. And guess what we saw coming in there?
Very exciting.
Yeah.
2 big boats that Columbus had
Yeah, the Nina and the Pinta.
something to
The
do
Nina
with.
and the Pinta were reconstructed as much as possible. We took a tour of them. It was absolutely fabulous. Foundation, the Columbus Foundation, moves them all around, and I was astounded to see how many places they have gone.
You are not even going to believe this. They are doing the loop.
Yeah. So they actually have to take the mast down. It's
Mhm.
about a 1 or 2 day process of taking the mast down on those boats to get them through some of the places where there's bridges. But really interesting if you do get a chance to see them. And where's the Santa Maria? Because Columbus had Nina, Pinta, and the Santa Maria. Or
Pinta, yeah.
Pinta and the Santa Maria. The Nina was the smallest, the Pinta was kind of the middle, and the Santa Maria was the biggest. And they did not build the Santa Maria replica because it would just be too big. It would, I think they said, nearly a 10-foot draft on that boat if they would have built it.
Ooh, and it definitely couldn't do the loop.
Yeah,
with the
and they said,
10-foot
they
draft.
told us that Columbus didn't like that boat anyway. It was too slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
anyway, but that was really cool to see that. Then we had dinner.
The Midway Marina has a restaurant on it, which is awesome, right there on the property. So we enjoyed dinner with B-Side, had a good chat with them.
Shout out to Bruce and Brenda on B-Side.
Hey, and then so
it was going to get cold.
Yes,
and it was starting to
right.
get cold. And
That's
we were
true.
prepared for it, so we
Yeah.
got huddled up into the boat and had the heaters on.
Yeah,
and,
it was a cold night.
yeah, so we'll tell you about the next morning, the excitement of the next morning.
Next time.
Next time on the Here's to Us, and thanks for joining us, and thanks for following us and coming along and asking all the questions and coming along. See ya.
All right, bye.